Y'all, decisions, decisions, decisions. There are going to be so many decisions for you to make before and after weight loss surgery, but they never end. Never end. Today we're going to talk about the most important question that you have to answer right now, and that is whether or not you are going to have weight loss surgery to begin with. Only you know if it's going to be the right fit for you. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 things that I wish I had considered going into weight loss surgery. Here we go. Okay, hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Erica. I'm an 11-year veteran of gastric bypass surgery. Back when I was choosing whether or not to have weight loss surgery, there were really 2 surgeries on the market for you to choose from. What the surgeons were pushing at the time were either the lap band or the gastric bypass. So most of the information that was available at the time had to do with one of those 2 surgeries. I researched pretty thoroughly everything, which I highly recommend that you do. But there were some things that I just didn't realize were going to be as important as they were. And the overall success of your surgery are going to be determined really by how well you can answer these 4 things. Are you willing to read the nutritional labels? Can you afford it long term? How strong is your willpower? And why do you want to have it? Okay? So, I'm asking you to really, really get real with yourself. Be honest. Because you know whether or not you're the type of person to do some of these things. So, first one. Are you someone who's going to take the time to read the nutritional labels on your packages? I'm asking you to be honest with yourselves. Are you the type of person who is actually going to read the nutritional labels on the packages? And I realize that some of you may have never read a nutritional label before, so my Gatorade got dropped, but the nutritional label is right here. And it tells you the calories and the total fat and the sodium, the total carbs, total sugars, the protein. All of that stuff is going to be very important after you have gastric bypass surgery or gastric sleeve or lap band or anything. All of those things are going to be extremely important. So you are going to want to be honest with yourself about whether or not you're going to read those. After you have the surgery done, you may find that suddenly your body cannot handle sugar. That's what happened to me. Like instantly, when I got out of surgery, they brought me a popsicle, and oh my God, I've never been so sick in my life. And from that day to this one, I have to watch the sugar because it will make me extremely sick. Things that you want to watch on there, or that you want to get in the habit of looking at, are going to be your total sugar, your total carbs, your protein, and calorie intake. If you can start doing that now and get in that habit, you're going to be much better off than if you're just like, oh, well, I'll do that after surgery. Because if you're not the type of person to do it now, you won't be the type of person to do it then, and it could have some really, really nasty effects on you. Okay, and it will affect your ability to have positive outcomes with the surgery, because watching your calories and watching that kind of stuff is going to be important. So build that habit now so that it's not so difficult later. Second thing, can you afford it long term? I sat down and made a list of the supplements that my surgeon told me I was going to need. Protein, vitamin D, vitamin B12, calcium supplements, whatnot. And I looked up how much they were going to cost. And I figured out how much it cost me a year, did all that math, and I was like, yeah, I can afford this. Well, I was bargain shopping, okay? And sometimes when it comes to that stuff, you get what you pay for. My advice to you is make sure you understand that some of the supplements are not made for bariatric patients, okay? A good example of that is there is a big difference between calcium carbonate and calcium citrate. Calcium citrate is what a bariatric patient needs because it digests easier and can break down with the way that our stomachs are set up. Calcium carbonate, not so much. So you could be taking your calcium every day. You could be paying for that crap every month, and it's not doing you a bit of good. So make sure that you know which version of the supplements that you're going to have to get, and make sure that it is a quality supplement. And I say that because y'all know for the majority of this time I've been a single mother, and I could not always afford to go to Bariatric Advantage or Diet Direct or any of those sites that sell bariatric versions of these supplements. So I would have to go to Walmart and get whatever was cheapest. And now I have the bones of a 60-year-old woman, and have had since I was in my 20s. That's something to consider, whether or not you can actually afford the supplements that you're going to need to take for the rest of your life, okay? You don't want to become malnourished. Once you're malnourished, like, y'all, iron infusions, it was a whole thing. It turns out I'm allergic to it. Like, oh, you just don't want to go there. You do not want to go there. It's not pleasant sometimes. So, yeah, make sure that you can afford the best supplements that you can get, because you're going to need them forever, okay? So I'm going to jump off that high horse for the moment. Also, aside from the supplements, follow-up visits, co-pays, potential for future surgeries, especially if your doctor didn't take your gallbladder out. Extreme weight loss has been shown to cause gallstones, so most bariatric patients end up having to have gallbladder surgery later. Luckily, my original surgeon made a lot of mistakes, y'all. A lot of mistakes. But the one thing that he did right was when he did my gastric bypass surgery, he took that gallbladder out, so I didn't have to worry about it later. So, thank you for that. It's about all, but thank you for that. Okay, number 3. How strong is your willpower? Now, I'm not saying that if you've never been able to stick to a diet before, or that you struggle with it now, that you're not going to be able to do this, because you absolutely can, okay? But it's more of a question of, are you a rule follower? Do you have what it takes to follow the rules? Because the rules are going to keep you healthy and give you your best chance at good outcomes. The fact of the matter is, you are going to be faced with things that you cannot have every day for the rest of your life. For instance, before I had my surgery, I was a Dr. Pepper fiend, okay? Loved Dr. Pepper. It was what I drank all day, every day, morning, noon, night. I might squeeze in some water somewhere, but it was really not my preference. You know, I started my day with a Route 44 Cherry Dr. Pepper from Sonic. I got one at lunchtime, and I got one again at the end of my day. Now, I drank a lot, a whole lot, but it was not healthy for me. Now, that's how strong my addiction was. I have not touched soda since June 28th of 2009. And the reason for that is, after bariatric surgery, you're not supposed to have carbonated beverages, and they prefer for you to stay away from caffeine. The reason for that is, after bariatric surgery, you're not supposed to have caffeine. So that turns out to be something really nice for me now that I'm having the cardiac issues, but back then it was rough, and you have to detox from that stuff. For some people it might be soda, for some people it might be bread, which is something else that we're not supposed to have. For some people it may be candy or sweet stuff, because like I mentioned before, you know, I have an aversion to sugar. It is very, very bad for me, and it's bad for many people after bariatric surgery. Do you have what it takes to completely cut that stuff out? Okay? It kind of falls into the how bad do you want it thing. Because if I were at the beginning looking at this, I'd be like, heck yeah, I can. Heck yeah, I can cut this out. But the truth was, before I had the surgery done, I could cut it out for small increments. But I obviously couldn't get rid of it completely. Like, I would cut out soda for months at a time, and then all of a sudden be right back on it and be on it hardcore. That is not an option after weight loss surgery. It wasn't for me, and it hasn't been for many of the people that I'm friends with or that I follow. Can you make yourself give up the things that you are not supposed to have? Now, something to consider is testing that out beforehand, because that will make it easier as you transition into the post-op phase if you decide to do this. If you are a Dr. Pepper fiend like I was, cutting it back from 3 Dr. Peppers a day to 2 Dr. Peppers a day and then 1 Dr. Pepper a day before surgery and weaning yourself down that way in the last couple of months will make it much easier afterward. So attempt that stuff now. See how long you can go without it now, because the longer that you can go without it now, the better off you're going to be. Test out that willpower and exercise it, because here's the thing. When I was pre-op, the reason why I couldn't give stuff up was because I didn't have something that physically limited me from it. And it's amazing how knowing that it's gonna immediately adversely affect you, not that it's gonna give you problems in the future, or dark soda causes a cancer and one day you're gonna be old and have cancer because you drank this soda, and all those things that doctors say, eventually if you keep eating this way, you're gonna eventually have diabetes. That wasn't a deterrent for me. The immediacy of the Roux-en-Y in making me sick, if I did these things, kept me from it. Like I said, I was drinking Dr. Pepper until June 28th. I had surgery on June 29th. I still remember what it was like to drink the last one, but I have not picked it up a day since. And you have to be able to do that, even with the things that you love the most. If you give in super easily, you might want to consider addressing that issue before you consider weight loss surgery, because something is keeping you from being able to let that go. And I have had friends that struggled with that and went into severe depression after weight loss surgery because they could not have whatever it was. Or they went the other way and they just threw caution to the wind, forget the post-op diet progression, and I need a Snickers bar and I'm supposed to be on liquids, but I'm going to eat a Snickers bar and then end up with bad consequences. So, that kind of thing is something you want to address and get ready for on the front end, and know that you have a plan for it when the time comes. So that's something to consider as you're choosing to go down this road. Number 4, why do you want to have weight loss surgery? A lot of times when you talk to people who are considering weight loss surgery and you ask them why they want to have it, you get the same responses. And I'm not saying that these are not valid reasons. They are absolutely valid reasons. I want to have more time with my spouse. I want to achieve good health. I want to be able to play with my children. And I'm not saying that these are not valid reasons. Many of them are. But only you know exactly how strong a desire that is for you. And you need to find what your strongest desire is as far as your reason why you want to have this done, because that reason needs to be strong enough to pull you through any complications that might come along. My surface reason for having gastric bypass done was I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to be able to play with my kids. And when, stuff hit the fan, my kids were what brought me through it. things can get very, very rough. And you need to have your reasoning all ironed out, because if your reason is something like, my doctor said I should, or I want to lose weight so my boyfriend won't leave me, or my husband won't leave me, or my wife won't leave me, that's not going to pull you through. Let's address the whole, my significant other wants me to lose weight. Ultimately, just losing weight is not going to make somebody stay with you. It's just not. They either want to be with you or they don't want to be with you, and that will rear its ugly head in the long run, because this journey is hard and it's trying on relationships. Studies show that. If somebody is judging whether or not they're going to be with you on what size you are, that's a character flaw in them. Okay? Especially if your reason for doing this is to be healthy. But you can't fix them. All you can worry about is you. So if you go into it and you're wanting to, my mama says I should lose weight, my best friend says I should lose weight, my significant other says I should lose weight, and you're doing it for all these people, those people are likely going to be the same people who will come back to you later and say, well, you're getting too thin. I don't like this. You are way too skinny, when you're just starting out your journey, which can be discouraging and can lead to anxiety and depression and all these things that you don't want to have. So don't base it on those people, okay? Maybe it will help with your relationship. It most likely won't, because those types of things, they generally have much deeper problems than what size you are. But don't do it for somebody else, because if stuff goes wrong, then you end up in a place of resentment. And resentment is not going to be conducive to you getting healthy again. Okay? It's going to hurt you in the long run. My advice is don't do that. You have to make sure that this is something that you want to do. Okay? Let's just say it. There is one reason that we all are in this for, that nobody wants to say because people shame you for it. And that reason is that we are tired of the endless grind of trying to take this off and working so hard and not getting results from it. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with admitting that. Nothing wrong. And you will come across people who hate about that, who are very negative on your journey, but the truth is that it is exhausting to keep trying and not get the right results, or not get any results for that matter. Weight loss surgery is a tool, and studies have shown that people who are morbidly obese overproduce a hormone, okay, that the stomach produces to tell you that you're hungry. And therefore you might eat, and where a normal person can eat the same amount as you and their body will stop producing that hormone, yours doesn't. Okay? Yours doesn't. So you end up eating more, trying to shut down that signal because you're hungry. Your body tells you you're hungry. It's not your head. Sometimes for some people it is in their head. But studies have shown that in the morbidly obese, there's an overproduction of a hormone that makes you hungry. It is not in your head, it is in your body. And the reason why some people have super success with gastric bypass is because it bypasses the part of the stomach that produces that hormone, and therefore you don't get the signals all the time that you're hungry. If you're like me, I hardly get signals that I'm hungry at all. And what I have found is most of the time I eat because I'm anxious, and every so often I will get a hunger pain, but it's not like before. So there's that. When you constantly feel hungry, you can do everything right, but still end up eating because you're starving, and your body tells you that you're starving. And if your body believes that you're starving, it's going to hold on to every calorie that it can. I didn't eat any more before weight loss surgery than I eat now. I'm being honest. I would go on binges where I would, but on a day-to-day basis, my diet has not changed a whole lot. It did for 2 years, or it was different for 2 years because I was on semi-soft food and liquids for most of that time. But my diet today is not a whole lot different than my diet before. I make smarter choices. I use a lot more wheat products and leaner meats than I used before. I still have what I want. Anyway, the short and skinny of it is, you need to iron out why you want this, because only you know the real reasons why. It's okay to admit to yourself that you are tired of doing the grind. It is okay to say, I want to be healthy for my kids. Get more specific than that. I want to be able to play with my kids. I want to be able to get into the floor and get up without struggling. I want to be able to climb a flight of stairs without being winded. Iron out exactly why you want it, because those things are going to give you milestones to reach. It's going to give you motivation, and if it's strong enough, it's going to give you what you need to pull out of anything that might come. Because the fact of the matter is, this surgery can go wrong very quickly. And it does go wrong very quickly for many people. You don't see a whole lot of that on YouTube. People don't like to post when things go bad. I did. You can go back and watch those videos. But I did it because I felt like it was important for everyone to know that this can happen. It does happen. And you need to know it going in. Because when I went in, I didn't find anything at all about what happened to me. Even now, it is hard to find information about what happened to me. They don't link them together very often. But, you know, it can happen. And you need to go into this knowing that that kind of thing can happen, and you need to have a plan for pulling yourself through it, because the mental health aspect of that is that it can be devastating. And you need to have a stronger reason than I just want to get healthy. Because sometimes healthy's not what happens. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but it's the reality that I had to face. And the strongest advice that I can give you is iron out your why. Make sure it's not dependent on an outside source. Okay, so it's not dependent on anybody else. And it's strong enough to give you what you need to persevere. So those are my 4 things that I wish that when I was making this decision, I had really considered going into it. Am I going to read the nutritional labels forever? Can I afford it long term? Did I consider all the costs? And not only the bargain shopping prices, but the actual cost. How strong is my willpower? Am I going to be able to follow the rules? And then, why did I want to do this to myself? Because it's hard. It's very hard. If you know that going in, you're going to have what it takes to pull through it. So, those are my 4 things. You all may have other things that you think should be considered before weight loss surgery. If you're a veteran, throw that down in the comments, because the people who are beginning this journey, they need to know from our perspective what should have been thought of, what we wish we had considered when we were going into this, because that's going to help them make their best decision. And if you are somebody who's just starting out, is there something that you're questioning that's holding you back from making a decision that maybe I didn't address that I can answer for you? So just throw that down in the comment box below. If you enjoyed this content and you would like more like it, just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will tell you when I've posted new stuff. I do have other videos coming. On this note, I apologize for the wardrobe change in the middle of the video. I don't know if you saw my week 2 update, but for whatever reason my camera stopped recording in the middle, so I had to re-record the end. But I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you again next week. Bye.